Hello, Bravo bosses. This is the Bravo Investigator podcast. I'm your host, Dana, and today we are talking about Summer House, Season 10, Episode 1, the premiere, as well as Southern Charm, Season 11, Episode 10. And joining me today is Leah Sauer from the podcast Positively Uncensored. She has interviewed a lot of amazing reality stars. We had such a fruitful and just really intelligent conversation about Kyle and Amanda, about Molly and Salley, about Austen and Audrey. Like, I really had such a good time talking to Leah today. So definitely check out where to follow Leah and how to listen to her podcast in the show notes. But until then, I hope you guys enjoy the episode. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, YouTube, and Facebook at The Bravo Investigator. Join the Patreon at patreon.com/The Bravo Investigator podcast. Enjoy the episode with Leah, and I love you, BBs. I will see you next time. Leah Sauer, welcome to the Bravo Investigator podcast.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me on, and I can't wait to have you on my show too.
Leah hosts the most amazing show, Positively Uncensored. She's had so many reality stars on, you guys, from Love is Blind to Married at First Sight. So definitely check out Leah's podcast. But Leah, I am so excited to have you here today. We are talking about the premiere episode of Summer House, Season 10, Episode 1. We're also talking Southern Charm, Season 11, Episode 10. But before we get into it, you're somebody that I follow online. You have such a great account. I feel like we're very like-minded when it comes to our views. How did you initially get into the reality TV space? What's your favorite reality TV show? And just why is this kind of realm so important to you?
Oh my God, that is such a fun question that I haven't been asked. So,
No?
no, I actually haven't been asked that. So, trying to place back how I got in reality TV. That's like so let me go back. I remember I was creating content on TikTok, and at first it was like 5 years ago. So like a couple dances were cool, or using like a heavy filter and like a quick thought. So I didn't know what I was doing, and I would record stuff. Like I recorded like what I thought, like ranking the top five worst proposals. Like I have no idea why I made that a video, but I did. And
Yeah.
then foods that like piss me off. And then I was like, what am I doing here? Like no, nobody was really seeing it. And then one of the videos I made was like, if like casting a Real Housewives girls trip, like with who I think it should be. And that video did not take off by any means, but I felt excited doing it. And I think at the same time, I've always liked reality TV. I would say so. Background, my dad's a pastor, and I grew up in Ohio. And I feel like what I watched growing up, like there was a fair bit of stuff that like I wasn't allowed to watch. So I don't know that I was tapped. Of course, my older sisters were watching stuff, but I was sort of kept away from it. But I don't
Hmm.
think I tapped into The Bachelor until college. And I think I came in around JoJo's season.
Okay.
Um, and do you watch The
Yeah,
Bachelor?
The Bachelor was also my bread and butter up until like maybe 5 years ago when it just got so incredibly bad. But yes, Jojo and I have the same birthday. So yeah, very, very close with Jojo.
What
Very nice.
sign is she? What is that?
Scorpio, November 1st.
Okay, love that.
Yeah.
Okay. So JoJo, and I was obsessed with her hair. So she was one of the first
Yes. So
seasons.
beautiful.
I remember taking it to a stylist and being like, give me
Give me the
the JoJo.
Jojo.
And a funny thing enough, if you grew up millennial and you remember JoJo,
Mhm.
get out. Like
Yeah.
she was my inspo for many hair sessions as well. So
I
JoJo to
love that.
JoJo. Um, Not me getting distracted while you're asking me this. I
You're
do
making
have very
videos.
bad. Oh yeah. So basically I was watching The Bachelor and I was watching Joe Millionaire. And as I was watching Joe Millionaire, I had started a podcast and I started off having a co-host. And I was more or less just like recording my thoughts about the shows that I watched. I talked about the Grammys. Um I would just sort of shoot the shit. And then as I was watching, I was like, you know what? Joe Millionaire is a show that's on Fox. I didn't feel like very many people were watching it. And I remember I emailed one of the girls. I was like, can I interview you on my podcast? And that was the first interview I did. And then Danielle Rule from Love is Blind was second. And I felt like that was a huge interview for me to get because I think I didn't even have 1,000 followers yet. And Danielle, on the other hand, had 1 million. So for
Oh
her
my
to
God.
take my interview, I was like,
Yeah.
you're so I was excited. But after I did those, I found out I've always had the gift of gab. I went to school 3 years to be a nurse. I transferred schools to finish out my nursing degree. When I got there, I was screwed over, as a lot of kids are when you do the whole change schools. And I ended up graduating with psychology. And I felt like my between the psychology, being a pastor's kid, my parents being significantly older than other people's parents, I feel like I've always had the ability to talk to anybody, anybody. And I felt like I shined when I did those interviews. And from that point on, I was like, I'm going to do reality TV and I want to do reality TV and interview. That's going to be where I stand out. And then as I started to cover things, I really started to figure out more of what I believe, and I saw tie-ins from I was a sociology and anthropology minor on these reality TV shows with what I learned. And so I
Totally.
started to tie it in.
The
And
intersectionality with the
yeah,
psychology behind it all. Absolutely. And that's what this show is basically.
it is. And that's
Yeah.
why I like your content as well. But that's what drew me in. So that once I got my footing and I felt like, oh yeah, every single reality TV show I cover is both fun to talk about because I love to goss, but also there's something deeper to unpack here. So
Yes.
that's the long-winded answer. Apologies for that, but that's how I got into reality TV and started my podcast.
Well, I love that. And it just shows that it is what you're meant to do. And you do have the
Oh,
gift of gab. You're so good at it. So let's get right into Summer
thank you.
House because I know we have a hard stop. So I want to make sure that I get all of your opinions. Now, this is sort of like an inaugural season in a way, right? It's our 10th season. They start off with like the nostalgia of showing us they've been friends for 10 years and Kyle and Amanda getting engaged and all of that. We see them fight every year, but there was definitely a different vibe coming into this season. I mean, we always see them at odds, but and obviously, spoiler alert, they are getting divorced. Everybody knows that by now. So it's again watching one of those seasons back, like it was with Craig and Paige, where we're watching it and looking for the clues and the context and all of it. But for me, like it just felt so tense. Like you could cut the tension between them with a knife. And I guess I want to start with like them not driving up together. What did you feel about Amanda driving up with Sierra and the newbies and Kyle driving up with the guys? Do you feel like that was a sign or do you feel like that was a nothing burger?
I felt I felt like mixed reactions because as someone who's been in a relationship for 7 years, lives with my boyfriend for those 7 years, if I'm going on a girls' trip with our group of friends and the guys are going to be there, bye, like see you up there. I
Yeah,
might decide to ride up with the girls, especially like, when you're around somebody, you can crave somebody else's presence. However, per I think that what I was more clued in on was Kyle's reaction to Amanda, where he was like, wah, in the car. And it made me wonder. I can't tell if Kyle's like a jealous person and like possessive and wants to spend every moment with Amanda, or I can't tell if he was embarrassed that Amanda was sort of making their private fights like a larger statement. I couldn't tell what was going on psychologically with him, but that to me stood out more. I felt like anybody who's been in a long-term relationship, it wouldn't be a big deal by itself if she just decided to
totally.
go with Sierra.
Totally. I didn't think so either. And it sort of reminded me of like Vanderpump Rules days of yore, where they would like go on those trips together and the girls would all stay together and the guys would all stay together. And it would be weird, right? Because you guys are all in long term relationships. But I totally concur. I've been in relationships where I'm with you 24/7. And so I want to go spend time with my friends. It's a long drive. I see what you're saying. And if I had to choose, I'd say embarrassment. I think he's embarrassed because she is. Like I said, they're always fighting. This isn't new, but there's a whole new
Mhm.
level of tension that we're not used to.
Hmm.
He's coming off in this episode as like this Eeyore, very sad, like, woe is me type of thing in my relationship. She's sort of doing her own thing, which I love. And I know that the Prozac is working for her and good for you, honey. Right. But like, there's some resentment. She hates him a little bit, right? And you can feel that in the way that she's speaking to him. And I feel like it's embarrassing him. I think it's exactly what you said. I think he's embarrassed by their dynamic and how obvious it is.
And you're bringing something to my mind right now as we're talking. And it's like, you know, and he's also a little resentful of her too, because like with that
He said that.
embarrassment, as he's processing that, he's mad that Amanda's not playing her part anymore. As you've mentioned, the fighting's not new for the two of them. However, and even her kind of ridiculing him in jest and bringing up how annoying Kyle is, that's not new. But her
No.
sort of making a statement, that's not how Amanda usually operates, really.
Right. Right, for sure. What do you think about the statement that she made where she felt like he started the whole DJ thing in spite of her because she wanted to do the swimsuit line and she feels like he became a DJ despite her? I never really thought about it that way specifically. I really thought about it more in the vein of the way everyone else is thinking about it. It's like he's just trying to find a way to stay out more and get paid for it and make it a job. But like, do you think he did that to hurt her? I guess I never really thought about that.
You know what? I'm so glad that she was able to watch that footage back because I do think that he did that because he was jealous of her. And I think that it was like
Yeah.
two things, right? Like, I think that he was jealous that Amanda was finding something that makes her happy. And I also kind of feel like he was jealous that Amanda was doing something that wasn't Kyle and Loverboy. And then I also think that he was mad at Amanda that like she could go out and do that because she's not as locked into Loverboy as he is. And it
Hmm.
would be a huge to do for him to like get out of Loverboy and essentially pursue something that's just like, oh, let me just try this. I think he felt like, oh, sure, Amanda, you're gonna go out there and try bikini. I'm gonna be a DJ. And like when I saw that clip, I was like, and that's why I don't feel bad for Kyle because I forgot. I was feeling really bad for him. Sober Kyle, like he's great. Sober Kyle's great. But then I saw that and I was like, ooh, you are a man child.
I mean, this really comes down to the same thing from the beginning because I did this whole deep dive on Kyle on my podcast a few weeks back, maybe a couple months ago, actually. I do these deep dives like once a month, and it happened to be like right before they announced their split. But like, it really does come down to the same thing from the beginning. They have very different lifestyles, which, sometimes works for people, but for them, it just doesn't. They have very different ways in which they want to live their life. But the
Yes.
whole him going out and doing the DJ thing is just amplifying the same problem that they've had forever. He cheated on her once, possibly more,
It's
because
so
he
true.
says that he was drunk, so he
Hmm.
blacked out, so he doesn't remember it. But then you
Hmm.
keep putting yourself in the same situations to allow that to happen again. So let's say it's true. Let's say you get drunk and you don't remember what you're doing. Well, then you would think that then you would remove yourself from any situation where you could allow that to happen. But instead, ever since, he has constantly put himself in that situation. Now he is doing that as a job, right? And so for him, he even said at one point to Carl in this episode, like, I don't understand what she wants. No, you do. She's been super fucking clear, man. She's been super clear. Stay home like an actual adult. That's it. But you don't want to, and so this relationship has to end. But it's literally watching the same thing for 10 years if you think about it. It's just crazy to me that he won't do that for her. And again, it's warranted. It's not just the going out, it's the fact that you're putting yourself in a situation that could lead you to commit the same atrocities again. So it makes so much sense that she's asking you not to, and now you're turning it into a career.
That's so perceptive because that didn't occur to me, despite the fact that I was like, what? Like, yeah, like, of course, as you get older, you should mature. You shouldn't be going out. But, like, yeah, it really is about that first time that he cheated. And, ladies, that's why I say leave them. If they
Yeah,
cheat on you once, leave them because
yeah,
I truly believe for any situation, this goes for a job, a relationship. If you hit a point of resentment and you stay in the situation, nothing happens that's good. Whether both parties lose their tempers, like there's no good fallout to staying in something that has turned toxic. So if your man
absolutely.
cheats on you, I don't care the old school ways, leave him. That's what I think.
Absolutely. And you know what? I hate when Kyle calls Amanda lazy. But when it comes to some things, she is a little bit lazy. And one of them is this situation. She was just too lazy to end this years ago, I sort of feel like. I also thought it was really interesting to watch Kyle. I think he was not Kyle, Carl. I think he was talking to Sierra in this moment, and he's talking about Kyle and how, like, he should want to stay home and he should be working on his relationship. And, he's going to play a DJ set at Penn State and hanging out with college kids. And even Carl is complaining about not having enough of a relationship with Kyle because he's doing that. So it's interesting that everyone around him is seeing how detrimental this is, but Kyle, and he's sitting there going, "I don't, what did I do? What did I do? Why is she mad at
Mm-hmm.
me?" You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yes, that's
It's crazy.
exactly what's happening. And I feel like that's probably like that's hurtful. Like that's probably even more hurtful to Amanda. And two, like tell me what you think of this, but for Amanda specifically, I always felt like when Kyle called her lazy, I always felt like he was digging at her, knowing that like behind the scenes, like he knows that she's going to different doctors and trying to get on the correct dosage for her medication and struggling with depression. And I think she was potentially struggling with like they were thinking about conceiving and stuff
Right.
like that. Right. So there was like a lot going on. And I feel like when I saw Amanda, I always feel like women leave in their minds years before sometimes. Like
It's
like
it,
in
that is the truth. Unless they cheat on you today and you found out today, usually when people break up, they've been in that mindset for at least a few months, which is like a scientific fact.
Yes. So I feel like with Amanda, I feel like for her, and everybody let me know if I'm defending Amanda too much, but I felt like for her, I didn't feel like she was lazy. I felt like truly she was not I felt like Amanda was so drained and wasn't
Yeah,
well enough mental health wise to have the energy to end things with Kyle or even change
it's a way
things in
better
their
way to put it.
relationship.
Yeah.
So I feel like she just accepted it. Like, you know what? I don't have the fucking energy to fight Kyle on why he shouldn't drink for the 7 millionth time. So I'm just gonna, whatever. Guess this is
You're
my life.
absolutely right because when you're emotionally drained, which we knew she was, and she wasn't,
Hmm.
where she wanted to be with her mental health, sometimes you can barely even feed yourself, bathe yourself. I've been in that
Totally.
situation where I like
Same.
hate to admit haven't bathed in a week. Not right now, I'm
Right.
doing good, but I'm just saying
Right.
I've been in that stage. So if I can't bathe,
Yes.
how am I going to tell a person that I want to end a 10-year marriage when I know that person isn't just going to be like, okay, right? They're going to fight you on it. And
Hmm.
she just doesn't have the physical or emotional capacity right now. And I
And she
think you're
probably had to
exactly
doubt
right.
herself too. Like, do I want to leave him? Like, once this fog is cleared and I'm feeling better with my mental health, like, am I going to wish, like, am I going to be glad I didn't say
Right.
anything? Like, am I still going to feel like this about him? And then lo and behold and lo, he was a resentful jerk and got
Right.
into DJing for
On
no
that note, what do you
reason.
think about what she said about like the internet fodder? Because I heard her say
Oh
on
my
a
God.
podcast, she doesn't do many. She did a podcast, I think, last summer with a friend of hers, where she said something to the effect of, you have the whole internet saying, like, leave him, leave him. And then I almost do it. And then I think to myself, what am I even talking about? I'm not going to leave him over what the internet said. And it was really just a one off, but it stuck in my brain. And then she brings it up here. And
Hmm.
listen, are we right? Of course we're right. But at the end of the day, we
Hmm.
really don't know these people. We see them for 15 minutes
Right.
an episode. We don't know them to their core. So we really can't judge. But I think it's really fascinating that I mean, we know as being part of this universe how much I always consider the Bravo Lab relationship with us very symbiotic, where they exist for us and us for them. And I think in Amanda's case, it's created like this very negative effect for her, where again, he's awful and they should get divorced. But like she really is listening to what we're saying, which is
Hmm.
wild. Like,
Hmm.
do you think that that played a real part in this decision, the internet slash us?
I definitely do. And I do think, like, first of all, I'll acknowledge for any relationship, I would never take my relationship to reality TV and not have editing control. Are you kidding me?
My
That
God.
like absolutely not. There are moments where they would misedit me, misconstrue me, and then I'm getting death threats over not ending things, or he's getting death threats over not
Right.
leaving me.
Gotta love
Like,
the death threats.
right, like I'm good on all that in another opinion. You don't even want your in-laws, like extended family members' opinion if they want you to like
Right.
leave your partner for no reason. So I can completely understand that, but I thought it was interesting that she mentioned in a recent interview and maybe it was on Watch What Happens Live or a press panel she did, but she said, she talked about the press's influence again, but she also brought up how it was probably stuff that she needed to hear. And I think that that's the reason why she was so annoyed with us. And I think that she was like, this is my decision to make, like not you guys. You know what I mean? And I think like when you know someone is right, it just makes it even more frustrating because I don't
Yeah,
think she was ready to deal with
that's a
that
great
yet.
point. That's a
Yeah.
great point. Okay, let's talk some of the newbies because we got a lot of them.
Oh my God,
I have to
yes.
say, I am already in love with Levi and Bailey. I hate that her name is Levi though, because in my mind it was Levy, but okay, we'll go with Levi and Bailey. They, I mean, are you an A1 Day One Summer House watcher? Like you've been watching since the beginning?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so we've seen people come and go. We've had our one season wonders. And I think that Summer House has always done a really good job bringing in a couple of people and transitioning a few people in to see how it works, as opposed to like, hey, let's scrap Roni entirely and throw in a whole new cast. X doesn't work. So I like the way that they do this. And sometimes it flops and sometimes it doesn't. What I've noticed though, ever since we got Levy and Bailey and I've seen their personalities, I think the mistake maybe that they were making, not always, but sometimes hiring people that are too shy or aren't like super outgoing because I have a lot of anxiety. I'm not the kind of person that could like go live in a house with a bunch of people I've never met before. Like that would be
Hmm.
so anxiety provoking. And I think that would be a lot for a lot of people. Like Mia, I'm thinking about from a few seasons back, who I really liked. But like I remember her saying that she was such an introvert, right? And I'm just like, maybe this isn't the right venue for you. Or Jules, someone like that, who also just didn't vibe with the people. I like that they put Levy and Bailey together as best friends, which is something that Amanda also said that she appreciated in press because she's like, oh, at least I don't have to like babysit, which I feel like is
Hmm.
something that Lexi wanted last year because she lost her Bailey, but this Bailey has her
100%.
Levy. And one, I love that they're besties, so they have each other, but two, they have really just strong personalities. They're funny, they're outgoing. You see, I think it's Levy like dressed in like a corn costume, being eaten by the animals at the like July
Yeah.
4th, party, right? So they're okay to do their own thing. I felt bad for again, I forget which one is which. The blonde one, I forget. I think Bailey when she cried like at that first dinner, I felt a little sorry for her because she's like talking about her ex and then she just, cries on the first day. But aside from that, I feel like they're outgoing enough and they have strong enough personalities that they can carry it for themselves. I don't know, they were perfect to me. Sorry, that was my full song and dance, but I'm very excited about them.
Okay, here's what I think, and everybody tell me if I'm being like a pessimist or a hater. This is my like perhaps like hot take about Summer House.
Okay.
I think that once they got to the point where main cast members have started to like disappear and pull out of the show a little bit and don't need to come to the house anymore. Or really honestly, once they got to the point where they aren't even like late 20s, early 30s, like I feel like they got to the point a few seasons back and it was a bad sign to me once they were trying to bring in newbies because I feel like what they're not saying is the main like I don't know some for some reason the executives think that the main cast members can only be so interesting and it feels like they're putting a lot of weight on the new cast members that they have to bring drama and add something to the house like West and Jesse are a part of it and then they brought Levi or Levy, Bailey, KJ. Was there anybody else who came?
Ben was the Bachelor
Oh my
Australian
God,
guy that
Ben.
we got. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's going to be two more we haven't met yet.
Yeah, so four people. So I can tell that they're sort of scrambling to figure out like how do we make this show not stale? But in my opinion, I feel like the show is a wrap. Like I feel like I'm not disinterested in Bailey, Levi, Ben, especially because I'm like Ben and Amanda. Like I'm kind of there for
I'm
that.
into this. I think it's so hot and I can't look away, but we'll get there in a second.
Right. I'm like, can you change your mind about not being dating Bravo men? Because I'd like
Yeah.
to see it with you and Ben. But I digress. What was I even saying? Because that sidetracked me. Oh, I think so yeah, it's not that I dislike them. I just feel like this is probably the last season, like that's gonna
Yeah.
be interesting. That's what I feel like. Like, I feel like this is their Scandival, and then there
Yes.
won't be a season after that because even if Kyle and Amanda's divorce is really peaceful, I just don't know that anyone that they bring on new cast member wise is going to pull the weight of like a whole new crew.
I agree with you, and I completely concur that is this is very Vanderpump Rules like, where we're not invested in the concept of the show, we're invested in the people, which I think they understand, which is why
Great
they're doing
point.
the In the City.
Love
However,
that.
I think that that's going to be a flop and dead in the water only because of the divorce, because the concept of the show is like the Valley. We're moving on, we're getting married, we're having babies. Okay, well, Kyle and Amanda are no longer married. So are we going to watch them as single people, which we do have on the Valley season two, right? When everybody gets divorced. But that's what Summer House was. We already had that. So I am very curious what's going to happen with that show and the longevity of it. People are saying, well, maybe Kyle can just stay on Summer House and Amanda can stay on In the City. I don't really know, but the reason that Carl isn't on that show full time, like he's going to make appearances, is because he is not in that stage of life. He is not married and he doesn't have a kid. So then where does that place Kyle and Amanda for season two of In the City, right? So I think that they're bringing on all of these people because they are transitioning our core
Hmm.
group out. You
Yes.
could be very well right that it'll never be as interesting because as much as it is ridiculous that Kyle is still on this show at 44, I would watch him in the summer house till he's 90. I will watch Retirement House. Okay. Like he is meant for this in a way. I think that KJ, I think he's sort of interesting. I
Oh,
think
I loved
it's
him. I thought he
I
was
liked
really
I like seeing
interesting.
Wes with a buddy that isn't Jesse. I like that he has anxiety, not for him, but because it really like I felt sort of at home with that when he was talking about like, you know, I kind of need people to check in on me with that. And it's something I've dealt with for a long time. And skateboarding for me has been, this release. But like I was saying to you earlier, being in a house with a bunch of people I've never met for like a whole weekend would be like really hard on my anxiety. And I
Oh
think that
God.
that's what he was going through. And I was relating.
Same. And also, I thought the girls were actually really interested in him.
Yeah.
Like Amanda and Sierra were standing there and talking to him. And first of all, I love the fact that we have another black person in the
Yeah.
house. So I'm excited that he's there. And then I also like the fact that I think it's cool that he's a professional skateboarder because
Yeah. I
again,
never had that
I feel
before.
like that's
Just not
something
another
that's
influencer.
right. And I feel like that's something that's very like when you talk about like skateboarding, like it's something that for some reason you like think of like Ryan Sheckler or Tony Hawk and like it's like seeming like it's like a white sport, but it's not. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I like the fact that he's representing for all the black skateboarders. And I
Yeah,
think
for
that that's
sure.
cool. And I like the fact that him and Sierra can bond over both being models too, because both of their face cards are insane.
Yeah, they both have a very striking bone structure. Okay, and our last newbie that we got for this episode was Ben. So
Oh yeah.
he's from Australia. He was the Australian Bachelor, but I didn't watch this. I guess the way he
Me
was
either.
portraying it was that there was several bachelors.
Yeah.
We've had that here, so I don't know if that's what they were doing, but he met Kyle and Amanda at a wedding last year in Italy. And then the bride, Amanda, and Ben went skinny dipping together. Now, Kyle was around apparently, running
Hmm.
around doing his DJ thing, but that's when she really
Hmm.
got to know Ben. Yet for some reason, it wasn't until this episode, I guess, where Kyle realizes that a year ago, Ben saw her boobs. So he sort of seems to get a little upset about that in the end. But again, you were there, dude, right? Like you were around. And it's funny when you were talking about Kyle being jealous before because it's not something we've ever seen. We've always seen Kyle and Amanda together, and it's never
Hmm.
really come up. But
Hmm.
we saw a little taste of jealousy, so it's very possible. But I don't know. Like I swoon with the way that Ben looks at Amanda. Like I think she even just needs to feel like wanted, even if nothing comes of it. I think she kind of needs that right now, just to know that she still got it.
I think she's always felt that way.
Yeah,
I don't know what to call it, but Amanda's not always been my favorite cast member, I'll be honest. But like one thing I've always peeped about Amanda is she has always kept around attractive guys who also tell her on a regular basis that they think she's attractive. And I'm not saying that Amanda can't be friends with them. I think she was purely friends with them, but I also think she loved to hear validation that she still got it from hot guys on the
who
show that are
doesn't?
friends with her husband. Like what?
But it never really seemed to bother him until now. Like the Jesse of it, like where Jesse used to
100%
always make
agree.
yeah. And so I think because he feels like he's losing her, right? I mean, well, is there anything else you want to say on Summer House before we move on to Southern Charm?
Um, I I think my only last thought is I want to know, I'm curious what people say. So I guess I want to hear what your audience ends up telling you to this, but and what you think. I'm wondering, do you think Jesse actually wants to get the tea from the girls? Like, do you think that he was not considered conventionally attractive in high school and friends with all the girls because the guys didn't think he was cool enough? And for the girls, he was like, not trying to fuck them, so like safe enough to be friends with. So do you think that he wants the tea when he's trying to sit there with Sierra and Amanda, or do you think he's just horny?
He's just horny. He just wants to be as close physically to Sierra as possible. He's ridiculous. Like he's gonna keep playing that game. I kind of wish she would be like, stop touching me.
Me
Like,
too. I
you
kind of
know,
wish
'cause
she would curb him.
yeah, exactly. God, Jesse. I'm over him this season in a way. Like I am more excited about everybody else. So he kind of left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. I am a Lexi Wood fan, fellow Canadian. So, I want to give her a little bit of the props, but I just didn't like the way that he treated her. But that being said, we'll see a whole new Jesse this year. But I still like getting more guys, which is funny for me to say. I hate men, but it has statistically been hard for this show to hire good men and men that we like, men that we enjoy watching. And so
100%.
we've got some. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how this nice new pool of men go. Okay, let's move on to Southern Charm, season 11, episode 10. We only have like 10 minutes left, so let's just kind of talk about some of the main things that happened, which are that Audrey and Austen broke up. He seems to still be kind of sad about it. He knew it was the right thing that he had to do. And I kind of have been talking about this on and off, so we don't have to get into it too much. I kind of feel like he's just not meant. He's not the marrying kind.
Mm.
I think he gets to a point in relationships where he knows he needs to end it, not because it's not going good anymore, but because women have a timeline or people have expectations or it's just kind of unfair. And so I don't know, like last year I thought he was so goo goo gaga over Audrey. I thought he was totally going to marry her and that maybe she was the one. And then I was like, oh, no, he's just being typical Austen, I guess, doing his thing. But how funny was it to see Sally's reaction to that? Like the minute she found out that they broke up, she was like, hee hee.
She is so, first of all, that's diabolical. Second of all, she has no shame. Salley is, that was one of my thoughts I was going to say. Salley is so embarrassing. Like I really wanted to give her a chance. I even
Same.
messaged her at the start of the show. I was like, listen, you were kind of crazy on The Bachelor, but I'm excited to see what happens with you on this show. No,
I want
I
to give
don't like
women a
how she
chance, right?
was.
This episode, though, girl, no, it's bad.
Like, not only are you a bad friend of Anita, but you're a bad friend of Charlie. Like, you're like telling lies to her. I don't know.
She's
Maybe she
lying.
wasn't.
Yeah, like let's get into that part for a second because you know men have statistically over time told us that they don't want to be with us. Okay, that happens. So
Right.
it happens to the best of us. So you're okay, Salley. But for some reason, and I didn't think this until this episode, everybody was just like, she's going to be mad about it, or she is mad about it because she's thinking like, how could he not want to be with her? How could he want to be with Charlie instead? I'm like, she's not doing that. She's not doing any of that. Every girl has the right to be upset when somebody doesn't like them. But now she's literally lying and telling Charlie that Shep said, that Craig said, that
Mhm.
he's really not that into her and he's worried that she's going to fall in love with him and he's going to have to
Mhm.
like figure that all out. That's not what he said. And even though Austen did something similar the week prior where he sort of embellished something that Craig said to start shit, Shep didn't do that. So now I'm so like anti Salley and I really liked her too. Yes, I thought she was a pick me, but this now you're just lying to get Charlie on your side to go anti Craig, but you are coming off like what's the thing that Molly said in this episode? She loves Salley, but she's a jealous psycho. And I'm like, yeah, yeah,
I love Molly. First of all, I'm also anti Craig. Like, Craig, you're MAGA. The way you're treating Vanita is racist. It's
yeah,
abhorrent. The fact that you, a white man, doesn't even think twice about trying to ostracize her from the group or refuse to film with her, which would impact her pocket as
right.
well. That to me was crazy. But Salley was dead in the water to me, figuratively, as soon as she bought the chickens. I'm like, Salley, Salley,
Girl.
Salley. And then she hated them. Like, I'm like, that's a little bit of a red flag for you to other people because why do you hate these chickens so bad? She
If this
hates
was a
them.
dog, if he was like, you should get a whole
Oh my God,
clue
yeah.
or a whole den of dogs, right? And then she rehomes them all, right? Because she did definitely rehome these chickens.
Right, right. It's like, it's kind of like a little bit, sociopathic that you
Yeah,
got them all and then decided
it's embarrassing.
it's
But do you
embarrassing.
think that there's something to say about like the culture that they live in? Because I feel like Southern Charm is like in its own little world where The premise of the show is getting together.
True.
It's
Mm-hmm.
you need to be married in the deep south. It is very
Mm-hmm.
important, and all of their storylines are based on like, who are you going to go for next, who are you going to date next, you're dating
Mm-hmm.
someone, when are you going to have married, when are you going to get married, when are you going to have kids, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
what this show is about. Plus it is something that Salley wants, plus it is something that she feels that pressure for because of her sisters and her siblings getting married and having kids and
Yeah,
stuff.
she tried to
And I
steal the
just
baby.
wonder if she's just like, spontaneously combusting, trying to meet the American dream.
Absolutely. And that's why they should all be progressive. That's absolutely what's happening. She's combusting at society's expectations of her and
Right.
feeling an insurmountable amount of pressure. And
Mhm.
yet she's being misogynistic while she's doing it. So
Right. It's fascinating. How she calls
fascinating.
herself a girl's girl, but then not so, and then
And then she
she
talked
doesn't practice
about
what she preaches.
who talked about, was it Salley that talked about Molly's vagina?
Yeah,
That was so mean to me. Like I felt like that was so mean because
it was. But Vanita, I don't like the way that Vanita brought it up to Salley either, right? And I'll give Salley the benefit of the doubt only just because I think her and Molly were not good in that moment. But Vanita, the way she brought it up to Molly was very like, oh, who paid for that? She got a little nip tuck. Like you're implying it was something like salacious. And then that's the mentality
I
that
will
got passed
admit
over to
that.
Salley. So I didn't love
Yeah.
that from Vanita.
I will admit that that was a like I
Nobody's
just didn't
perfect.
like
We
it
all
being
make
mentioned
mistakes.
in
So yeah,
general.
yeah.
Right. We all make mistakes. Rooting for Vanita because she's the only black girl on the cast, but simultaneously I didn't love that because I
Yeah.
just don't think that her labiaplasty should just be talked about as gossip.
I was fascinated once I learned about it. I wanted to know
Yeah.
more. I wanted to know, like,
Right.
were they too long? Were the lips too droopy? Like I just have follow-up questions that I wish will come out in the reunion or the after show, just because, I didn't know what was a procedure you could get done. I would like to just know more about it just out of interest.
Right.
All of us
And I'll
ladies,
tell you
we hear
this.
about boob jobs left, right, and center. I kind of want to hear about your labiaplasty, but like at your own leisure, of course, and when you feel comfortable.
And I beg you not to say it because like I'll pass out. I literally almost passed out while they were talking about it, but that's because selectively I passed out during the movie in fifth grade where they teach you about periods and like birth and stuff. So since fifth grade, like clockwork, anytime birth or women's body parts is brought up, I'll just pass out.
Do you
So
want to have
that
kids,
was
or is your plan to like be put under and then just wake up?
plan is to I've been going to therapy to try to see if I can think about actually like because of course I want to have a kid. I'm saying kid because I can't even say it with an S right now. Like, nah, not going through that twice. But I would like to have a kid. Always thought I was meant to be a mom, but I need to go through therapy to actually consider that without the fear of all of that impacting my decision.
It's very synonymous with Ariana Maddox, who sort of felt the same way, like
Oh,
all the stuff coming out of your body and just like there was somebody who mentioned it very
yes.
recently that I really liked the way that she put it. And she is on our universe now. I don't know if you know. Oh, you do. What you would know her, Ashley I. Canetti, who will be joining us for the Real
Okay.
Housewives of Rhode Island. But she said something when she was pregnant the first time. She said, "I'm not going to be breastfeeding because I really just want my body back. I feel like my body has been a home to my son for this 9 months, and now I want it to be mine again." And there's so many women out there who sort of consider their body to be the child's body for so many more years or for other things. And it was
Yeah.
just really interesting to hear her admit that, which, I had so much respect for because
Right.
people will judge, right? People will judge how
Right.
you mother. But I really appreciated her saying that, this was his home for 9 months, but now I want it back. It hasn't felt like me. It hasn't felt like my own. And all the power to you for it. I don't even know how we fully got onto
Me
just
either,
yeah,
but
Salley
Ashley I,
Salley
now's a
wanting a
good time
traditional.
to I don't know how we got there, but Ashley, I started talking over you. In like case you ever hear this, now is a great time for you to turn progressive because no time like the present. Because I don't know how you're MAGA having that experience. It's very much like,
Ashley's MAGA?
yeah, she is. It's,
No,
I know she
really.
is.
I
She
was going
is.
to
Her
say I
and
really like
Jared.
her, but just because she really is such a fascinating story, right? Because no one will ever tell you in a million years that you should keep going after a guy who has shown no interest in you
Yeah.
whatsoever. And that one day he'll come around. That happens to no one. But we all
Uh-huh.
remember this story because it makes you feel like, wow, so there really is a chance for all of us. Do you remember like the
I
10-page
still
letter that she wrote him front and back? Like,
I was about to say,
like
I
on
still
Friends.
remember that letter. I was about to say that. And I still feel like there wouldn't be a day where that I wouldn't wake up and look at Jared and be like, I can't, I wouldn't be able to be with him. And it feels like that woman on Reddit who was like, oh my God, like I just found out that my husband, the only reason he first started dating me was because one of our friends dared him to. And it's like, oh, like once you find that out, I don't know. Anyways, let's continue. I can go until 5:35 so we can accurately wrap out Southern Charm.
I'm just looking at my notes and like nothing else like major really else happened in this episode. I guess Molly and Sally figuring their shit out and being friends again. Sally and Vanita figuring out their shit and being friends again. And like the main idea is that we're all going up to Whitner's cottage. I don't know if this is cottage or like some sort of private house that he has.
Plantation.
Plantation, of course. So that's where some of these conversations are going on, but the rest of it is pretty much just about, you know, this game of telephone. There's something interesting that Craig said that I kind of want to maybe we'll end with and tie up with, where he's talking about how not only does he like that or not like that basically this lie was told about him, he said that he finds it triggering when people misrepresent him. And I thought that was really fascinating. I feel like there's something that happens to me in my life where it's not that people misrepresent me, but they like create an entire narrative I never said. First example, like they'll be like, remember when this happened to you and this happened? I'm like, that didn't happen. And I have a photographic memory, so I know that that didn't happen. So people will be like, yes, it did. Yes, it did. I'm like, I don't know how to argue this with you, but now you have this picture of me in your mind of something that I did that I never did. And so I can understand why for him that's triggering. And I think a lot of that is tied up in TV because, again, we only have these 15 minutes of people, and people will create an entire representation of who a person is based on the 15 minutes that we watch. But maybe that kind of explains why he goes off so quickly and why he just like kind of just blows a gasket sometimes. And maybe because he has like this built up, you know, feeling about being triggered when people are talking about him in a way that he doesn't feel is representative of the way that he is. I feel like I would feel the same, but maybe that's happened to him a lot and that's why he just blows up.
I think that that's a very gracious way for you to
I try to
perceive
give
his
everyone grace, but yes.
situation. And I think that you perceive it that way because you are likely being misrepresented when people do that to you versus Craig is being accurately perceived and he hates that. Like he hates
One
when
point.
people call him. Like even, you know,
I guess I
I
meant more
understand.
so that he believes that. But yes, you are absolutely right.
Yeah, and I believe 100% he totally is like the victim, you know what I mean? So like
Yeah,
he's like a little bit like reared up to pop on someone if they're saying something that he doesn't want to hear at that moment.
right.
Um Craig, I feel like I can chalk up most of Craig's behavior to being insecure, truthfully, but I did have a question for you about Austin's behavior, and I'm wondering if I'm just like being too gracious or if there's anybody who thinks that like therapists tap in because I'm not just studied psychology, but I'm looking at Austin and you talked about like, is he going to ever settle down? Right. And I'm wondering if part of it for Austin, like part of the stuff that's unspoken, where some people might just say that's a total excuse, but I don't think he has appropriately addressed the trauma that he went through watching his parents lose his sister. And a part of me wonders if Austin is scared to do what his parents are really pressuring him for. Like his mom said, like my purpose
Fascinating. Yes,
was to
yes.
have kids. Like Austin, you're going to do what? That's my purpose in this life and I want you to know that that's yours. And I wonder if he's terrified to settle down and because he saw how quickly you can lose someone like his sister, I wonder if he was worried about losing his wife's mortality, their kids' mortality. Like I wonder if he's just a little bit put off by that and needs to have therapy to have an accurate level of
I think
control.
that's so fascinating. I think that's so possible. I mean, he was young when this happened, so I doubt his parents put him in therapy at the time. I mean, who really knows, right? It was a different
Right.
time. But I bet you're very right that he's never processed it. And it's very possible that he isn't even aware that those are his own fears. He may
Right.
just think he is a player, but he very
Hmm.
well could be afraid of like, if I love someone fully, I could lose
Hmm.
them.
Hmm.
That's so
That's what I
interesting.
think.
I love
Yeah.
talking to you. You are so freaking smart. I swear to God. Okay. Guys, please listen to Leah's podcast, Positively Uncensored. But aside from your podcast, where can people follow you and see you and just check out everything that you have going on?
I love talking to you. You are so smart. You're so gracious. You have such a beautiful personality.
Love
Like, just
you.
speaking with you put me in a great mood. So thank you. And first of all, I'm going to be coming back. I'm also going to have
Yes.
you on my podcast. So everybody, make sure to look. It's Dana, right? Okay, good. I knew it, but I was like, I was about to say it really confidently, and I was like, watch me just like kind of fail. So make sure to
Dana,
look for
Dana,
Dana.
whatever you want to call me is all good.
No, Dana. Make sure
Yeah.
to look for Dana on my podcast, but you can follow me on TikTok at Positively Uncensored. You can follow me on YouTube at Positively Uncensored Podcast. I try to do my episodes audio and visual, but sometimes I just don't have it in me to put on
I'm the
makeup. So
same way.
sometimes it's just audio, which I love.
Yeah.
But follow me everywhere.
Thank you so much for being here, Leah.
Thank you for having me, and I can't wait to come back.
Thank you for listening to the Bravo Investigator podcast. For more content, head over to patreon.com/the Bravo Investigator podcast. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at the Bravo Investigator. If you enjoyed the show, leave a 5-star review. Love you, BBs. See you next time.